You may not be too intense. You may be a person whose emotions, attention, and pattern recognition are arriving faster than the people around you can process. And when others feel flooded by your clarity, they often call your nervous system the problem. The phrase sounds descriptive, but most of the time it functions like a social stop sign. It tells you to lower the volume without asking what signal is coming through. Because labels shape identity faster than evidence does. A lot of people first hear it in relationships. You ask a direct question, notice a change in tone, want closure after conflict, or care deeply very early. The other person feels pressure, reaches for distance, and suddenly your sincerity gets translated into excess. At work, the same pattern looks more polished. You spot hidden risks, push for precision, stay emotionally invested in outcomes, and ask why something feels off when everyone else wants speed. Your intensity gets coded as difficult, even when your red turns out right. Psychology gives us a cleaner frame. People vary in sensory processing sensitivity, emotional reactivity, and depth of processing. Some nervous systems register subtleties faster and hold them longer. That can look dramatic from the outside, especially in environments built for emotional flatness. Research on highly sensitive traits suggests some people process information more deeply before acting. They notice small shifts, absorb social cues, and feel overstimulation sooner. This can produce insight, empathy, and creativity. It can also produce exhaustion when the culture rewards numb efficiency. Then there is attachment. If closeness felt unstable earlier in life, your system may scan hard for signs of withdrawal, mixed signals, or relational danger. That does not make your reactions imaginary. It means your body learned that subtle changes can carry real consequences. This is where people get confused. Sometimes intensity is expression. Sometimes it is protection. A person who texts 3 paragraphs after silence may be seeking connection. But they may also be trying to outrun the old feeling of being suddenly dropped. Trauma research adds another layer. When your stress response has been trained by unpredictability, your brain prioritizes threat detection over social ease. You notice what is unsaid. You track pauses, shifts, inconsistencies. Other people call that overthinking because they are not feeling the same internal alarm. And sometimes the label lands on gifted or twice exceptional adults. Fast cognition can create fast emotion because meanings stack quickly. You connect 10 implications in 30 seconds, while the room is still reacting to the first sentence. Your urgency makes sense inside your own processing speed. The trouble starts when repeated feedback becomes self-surveillance. You begin editing your curiosity, softening your excitement, delaying hard conversations, and pretending you are less affected than you are. Outwardly, you look more manageable. You become harder to find. A lot of high-functioning people do this so well that nobody notices the cost. They become measured, agreeable, useful, and chronically over-controlled. Then the intensity leaks somewhere else. Insomnia, irritability, sudden shutdown. A body can only store so much unsaid activation. There is also a social convenience to calling someone intense. It lets a group avoid asking whether they are emotionally unavailable, conflict avoidant, under-responsive, or simply less self-aware. The label puts the whole burden on the more expressive person and protects everyone else from reflection. That does not mean every strong reaction is accurate or skillful. Some people really do overwhelm others, push past boundaries, or confuse emotional urgency with truth. But the useful question is smaller and sharper. What is this intensity made of? Sometimes it is grief with nowhere to go. Sometimes it is fear wearing competence. Sometimes it is a mind that noticed the pattern before the pattern had language. If you skip that assessment and go straight to shame, you learn suppression instead of regulation. Regulation is different from shrinking. Regulation means your body can stay connected to reality while feeling a lot. Shrinking means you disconnect from your own signal so other people stay comfortable. Those two strategies look similar from the outside for a while. Think of a person in a meeting who goes quiet after being dismissed. Colleagues may read maturity. Inside, they may be clamping down on heat in the chest. A racing story about humiliation and the urge to either defend hard or disappear. Silence can be restraint. It can also be self-erasure. In dating, intensity often gets pathologized because modern romance rewards ambiguity more than honesty. If you want clarity after mixed signals, ask what this is, or state your feelings directly. You risk sounding heavy. The person benefiting from vagueness usually sounds more reasonable. There is a painful irony here. People who are called intense are often the ones trying hardest to create emotional coherence. They want the words to match the energy, the plan to match the promise, the affection to match the behavior. That can unsettle people invested in keeping things blurry. Family systems play a role too. In homes where one member was assigned the role of feeler, reactor, or problem child, the whole system got to stay less conscious. One person carried the visible distress. Everyone else got to call that distress the issue. If this has happened for years, you may have built an identity around being the one who ruins the mood, cares too much, or reads too much into things. Identity has momentum. You start producing evidence for the role you were handed. That is why simple advice often fails. Be less sensitive, stop overthinking, relax. Those instructions ignore the machinery involved. Your body is making predictions based on old data, current context, and social pattern recognition. You cannot shame a prediction system into safety. A more honest approach starts with differentiation. Am I dysregulated? Accurately perceiving something? Or both? That pause matters. Sometimes your alarm is exaggerated. Sometimes your alarm is picking up a real mismatch. Often, both are true at once. Then look at expression. Intensity becomes easier for others to receive when it is specific, paced, and owned. Compare, you are pulling away and clearly lying, with I notice less contact this week, and my mind is getting loud. Same signal, very different impact. The goal is not to become smaller. The goal is to become more legible. Legibility protects relationships better than self-abandonment does, because people can respond to what they can understand. They struggle more with pressure that arrives as accusation, panic, or total withdrawal. You also need context calibration. Some spaces punish depth because they run on speed, hierarchy, or avoidance. In those spaces, your sensitivity will keep getting framed as a defect. That does not mean you are misreading yourself. It may mean the container is too shallow. This matters in careers. Many intense people perform exceptionally well in strategy, design, research, care work, entrepreneurship, crisis response, and leadership under uncertainty. They detect weak signals early. They care enough to follow through. What hurts them is often chronic mismatch, not incapacity. It matters in love too. The right question is less, how do I stop being so much? And more, who has the range, honesty, and nervous system capacity to meet me well? Compatibility is partly about pace. It is also about tolerance for emotional reality. Still, there is one responsibility you cannot outsource. You have to learn the difference between your depth and your impulse. Depth is your capacity to feel, think, and perceive richly. Impulse is what happens when that richness demands immediate discharge through chasing, fixing, flooding, or collapsing. Once you learn that distinction, the old label starts losing authority. Too intense may simply mean you are in a room with people who only trust feelings after they have been diluted, delayed, or dressed up as logic. Some rooms call truth excessive because truth changes the terms. And the darkest part is this. If enough people reward your numb version and punish your vivid one, you can spend years becoming acceptable to people who were never capable of knowing you. Which one of these landed too close to home?